Buenas tardes a todo el mundo y bienvenidos a este acto del capítulo de SingularityU Sevilla. Can we stand a moment? They're going to take a picture of us. Vamos a dar paso al vídeo de Peter Diamandis que abre todos los eventos del capítulo.
Welcome. By joining us here today, you are now part of the Singularity University global community. Singularity University is a B Corp, an impact organization located at the NASA Research Park in the midst of Silicon Valley. Our mission is to educate, inspire, and empower leaders and their communities across the globe to address today's grandest challenges using exponentially advancing technologies. We at Singularity University understand that we cannot do this alone. And we understand that real impact is going to happen with you and your communities at a local level. While the ideas here today represent those of Singularity University, our faculty, our founders, this entire event is the work of your Singularity University local chapter. So thank you to all of them for making today happen. We hope that you'll be inspired by today's program. Now sit back and enjoy the show.
Bien, y a continuación paso al inglés para presentar a nuestros ponentes de hoy. It's a pleasure for me to introduce Priszcilla Varnagy and Teodor Panayotov. They both flew from Hungary, from Budapest, and from Bulgaria, from Sofia, for less than 30 hours. They arrived at midnight last night, and they are heading off at 6 a.m. tomorrow morning in a not very relaxing trip, I might say. And we're extremely lucky to have them here. They are amazing innovators. They are also, I'm honored to say, they are GSP alumni from Singularity University. It was clearly better years than mine, or at least they were better alumni than I was. And we're extremely lucky that they've agreed to come and share with us their knowledge, their innovations, and everything they are doing. As we announced, we're going to have a two-part event. First, we will have presentations from Priszcilla on Be Innovative, the platform they've created to help catalyze ideation, innovation, and transformation in corporations. And then we will have a presentation from Teodor on Course Dot, the system, not just the platform, the system they've created to transform, to disrupt IT education. And then we will have a Q&A session. And that will account for the first hour, more or less, of the event. At the end of that first part, Priszcilla will explain how we are going to use the platform, how we are going to use Be Innovative, and we will transition to another part of the school so that we can sit in groups and actually use the platform and get familiarized with it. She will also talk on how to use it and what the options are to become full users of it, the same way Teodor will do it. I think it is a very valuable contribution of the SingularityU network that we can have brilliant individuals coming from other parts of Europe to share with us what they are doing and to inspire what we could also apply and do from here. They will speak a little bit about the business models as well, because things are changing so fast that seeing how they are doing things in other places will for certain cross-pollinate and enhance and enrich our experience. So please join me at welcoming, first of all, Priszcilla Varnagy, and be innovative. Thank you very much.
Could we start the slides? Perfect. Hello and welcome, everyone. I'm very happy to be here with you and talk about how every one of you can make your organization to fulfill their creative potential and to engage everyone in innovation. Let me start from the very beginning, which is not Adam and Eve, but research and development. Because in today's, it's not only product development and technology that is accelerating, but the way we use innovation methods and techniques are also rapidly changing and diversifying. And although I'm not saying that the traditional R&D, lean innovation methods, gamification or design thinking would not be the best way to use or would be outdated, we are happy to use them. But if you look at the transition, how these methods were used with time or how they emerged, there is more and more collaboration that was added to innovation for one specific reason, and that is if we combine people from diverse backgrounds and include their ideas to be able to share different viewpoints and add to one single concept, this is how we can form breakthroughs at the very end. So as design thinking was first disrupting the way how the target audience or target users should be involved in innovation, it was found out that there need to be not only platforms and not only post-its that you could do workshops together with people, but also platforms. So this is how open innovation started to rise with possible platforms so that, for example, students or even researchers could submit their very best ideas to corporations. And as ideas were submitted, companies found out that there is something missing, that they should incentivize people to really want to deal with the whole challenge and to come up with the ideas. So that's why they found gamification is the thing that speaks to everyone. And if we gamify the whole process, make it enjoyable for everyone to participate, then it will not be a hurt. It will not hurt, and it won't be a problem to something like fill in a very boring form just for the sake of submitting your idea. But as gamification was rising, people noticed that in order to really gamify things, we are not playing by ourselves. We need inspiration and interactive technique to think together with others. So there is no game without enemies or team players. That's why we need to use much more collaboration in innovation. And this is how we arrived to collective creativity to be fully formed, which means that we are coming up with the breakthrough ideas together with people. And you can involve unlimited number of people, even hundreds or thousands of people, to think together without having ideas by their hand to type it in for first. So this is what Be Innovative is about. And let me tell you why. I hope there are no people from Samsung in the audience. Are there any? Okay, so let me share with you the story, what happened or why it happened, that when we were traveling, I was very surprised when I heard if I have a Galaxy phone, I should leave it behind because I cannot board on the plane with it. Do you know what was the reason behind it? Yeah, it exploded. But the reason was Samsung wanted to keep it so much in secret that they were experimenting with a new technology that they only involved a very small team in their research department, like a team of 5 to 6 people, to experiment for 2 years on a totally new technology. And when they launched it, they realized that they missed out a totally new perspective, and they didn't test it very well because they were so focused in thinking one way. And when they launched, they realized that this was the last time that they involved a very small research group, and they should have involved much more people in the testing, in contributing with ideas, because it would have been inevitable that this fatal mistake happens, that they doesn't recognize that in circumstances, actually the phone explodes. So that's why it's really, really important to say that the myth of the single genius is obsolete right now. If we are talking about breakthroughs, it's not one single individual who comes up with a breakthrough idea, writes it down, somebody else implements it, and boom, it creates success on the market. It's more like a huge group of people who all collaborate and contribute to that success. And let me tell you with a corporate example what we did with Be Innovative to transform the creative organizational culture in GE, what it means in reality. So very first, what happened is that the innovation manager of GE Healthcare came to us and told us that every single year they are having an innovation week organized within GE Healthcare, where every employee can participate with their own ideas, form a team, and decide what their team will work on, create a prototype in 1 week, and present it to an executive jury. He's pretty happy with the engagement, the number of ideas, but he really thinks that there should be more quality results at the end. Sometimes there is 1 or 2 patentable solutions, but he thinks that there are so many talented people working in GE, they would be capable of doing more than that. So that was our challenge. And what we changed, firstly, is we opened up an online challenge before the Innovation Week for every single employee to be able to take part in, which was like, how would you disrupt healthcare with very innovative technology if you could do anything in real life? What would be your project for the Innovation Week, basically? And beforehand, without the online challenge, the teams applied for the week with ideas like, I want to build something for Android. Because they got a week, they could do whatever. If they found a cool technology, they could name it as like the project title. Whereas in the challenge, all the ideas that were formed, of course there were some examples of, I want to build something for Android. But people shared around 5 or 6 ideas in total. That's how we arrived to more than 800 ideas in just like 20 minutes. And as people continued to the impact feasibility voting of all the ideas, in only 20 minutes, they could see what are the top of the ideas on impact and feasibility. And they forgot about these ideas that were mediocre, I want to build something for Android, and they signed up for the Innovation Week with ideas like, let's build a new technology with laser to early detect cancer. That sounds a much better title for an innovation project. And because they already started the Innovation Week with these breakthrough ideas, so they selected 38 of the ideas and then formed teams. Like, if your idea was not chosen, pick a team that you would like to take part in. And of the 38 ideas, there were 23 teams that were accepted. Actually, it was conscious from the jury because they only had time to listen to 20, maximum 25 teams. That's why they cut off at 23. So that was the maximum number of possible teams. So the team started at the Innovation Week. They worked on their prototype. They elaborated on their idea. And the most surprising moment came at the presentation in front of the executive team when they found that actually all of these ideas were patentable. So we got a very, a quote from the executives that I'm still very proud of, that they don't know any other innovation platform that was so efficient in the quality of the ideas and the end result that they could use with Be Innovative. And as you can see, one more thing to highlight is that the 23 prototypes is just 1% of all the ideas that were generated. So it's not like the people came up with the 23 ideas at first hand. The question was that this way they eliminated and discovered that these are the top 1% that is worth it to focus on for 1 week. And previously it was still 23 projects, but they were like from all types. So that was the biggest achievement that we made, to early discover the top 1% of all ideas. But patentable solutions are not the only achievement we can make if we accelerate innovation and involve everyone to share ideas. What companies can do is to increase their revenue streams, save money, or increase the number of implementable ideas. But even for marketing, you can achieve better conversion rates with your campaign if you create a really, really breakthrough one. So working together with more than 60 amazing Fortune 2000 companies right now on 6 continents, we have identified what is the 3 most important secrets to make innovation successful and to involve everyone and engage them in the innovation process. Let me share with you what are these 3 key learnings. The first one is that you have to have these collaborative challenges inside your organization. And by collaborative challenges, I don't mean a single piece of form that people have to fill in. It's not like a paper where if they have an idea, they type it in. If they don't, then leave it blank and come back when they have an idea. It has to be a social experience, something like a game that if you enter, you should get inspirations like pictures, see others' ideas, to think together. Because if you expect people to fill in a form without giving any background, enabling them to discuss ideas, then what you will find is, not surprisingly, most of the people will bounce back. They will not participate. Why? Because they are focusing on their daily jobs. No, they have not thought about your problem or question before, so it's not easy to start typing in a really elaborate idea. And in the meanwhile, if you could give them little hints, like what are the directions other people are thinking of, yes, they would be able to think together and come up with a solution with inspirations and, for example, in a workshop environment. But in order to do that, we have to have small groups of 4 thinking together. I say small groups of 4 because if there are hundreds of people sharing ideas at the same time, they will again feel like, okay, so there are enough people already participating, why should I? Nobody will miss me. So the trick in Be Innovative and the gamification is that everyone enters, but you form 4 groups of 4 thinking simultaneously. The ideation happens anonymously, but you can see who you are together within the same group. And you can like each other's ideas, so that you may like an idea of an intern or your boss. You never know. But at the very end, there will be a final ranking of all the ideas according to impact and feasibility. And on the leaderboard, without any bias, with a very democratic way of voting, you can figure out, for example, if an intern or somebody working at the end, let's say dealing with customer relationships, have a breakthrough idea that nobody has heard of. So in Be Innovative, we believe in these online challenges. This is how you can see it from the feed, and obviously you can reach it from mobile phones as well. And during the ideation, there are 4 phases that people can go through using these pictures, for example, as built-in inspirations, or random words to trigger really surprising ones. Actually, we will be able to test it later on. And this is how you can imagine the impact feasibility voting. You get an idea and you decide how it would be ranked on impact and feasibility. You just click and go to the next one. The trick is everything goes under 25 minutes. No matter if you are involving 5 people or hundreds or thousands, you can still do it within 25 minutes to see the surprising solutions. So that was the first secret, collaborative way of doing challenges. The second one is to not stop at the ideation level, but provide methods for people to be able to elaborate on their ideas. And you can think about innovation days, hackathons, or just a small workshop. But the trick here is to use small sprints. So don't tell the teams that, okay, now off you go and come back 1 week later, do whatever you like, because there is so much risk, frustration that they have to deal with, forming the team, decide on which task is most important, that the best thing you can do is to use small sprints that they should focus on. For example, very first, make your idea in 1 sentence. What is the most important part of your idea? Decide it. Okay, now decide on who is your target group. Use design thinking methods, for example, an empathy map. What would your target person think, feel, and do before meeting your solution, and what would they do after? And if the team is able to concentrate on one thing at a time, they will achieve wonders at the end. So let's make it easier for them this way. These are the methods for innovation that you can use while designing these sprints. So from creativity enhancing methods like random words, associational techniques, you can use the design thinking methods, for example, the empathy map or customer's journey, as I just mentioned. Of course, startups use agile techniques as well, like a Kanban board or rapid prototyping, and you can use the lean methods as well, depending on the topic. So within Be Innovative, after publishing a challenge, people go to the gamified ideation, then to evaluation, and then the person who created the challenge can select which are the top 1% of the ideas that worth elaboration, and help the teams to answer specific questions like what is the benefit for your target group, or how would you create an action plan. And then everything goes into a Kanban-like board to track the implementation stages of all these ideas. But at the very end, we need to encourage or reward people. And now let me ask you, what do you think? Which one is more important? To encourage people to take part in innovation, or to reward at the very end the best people who came up with the ultimate solution? Who votes for encouragement? Wow, nice. Who votes for reward is more important? it's very nice to see that actually more people voted for encouragement, because when I made a Google search about it, it shows like there are at least like 4 times as many searches on how should we reward innovation than how to encourage it. And on the other hand, if people have the courage and they feel secure enough to take part in innovation, then the result will be ensured better. Of course, we did a challenge with our company clients on the same question as well. Like how would you feel more incentivized in a really cool innovation program? And the results that came, that all the employees came up with show that the encouragement type of ideas were in number less, but on impact and feasibility, they achieved much more. So how can we encourage sharing ideas? For example, launching online challenges and holding hackathons and innovation days. They are methods for encouragement. But there were much more ideas on possible rewards, and actually the ones that came up to be even the most on impact and feasibility is to involve the person in the implementation of their own ideas. So if you have a very talented person, it's almost for sure that he or she will be motivated to take their own idea to the next level. And if you offer resources and connections to make it happen, then you will incentivize the best way your people. Other possible rewards that people came up with is to support professional development. So for example, offer an MBA course or whatever workshop or course seems to be also a great idea. Then to give feedback on the ideas. Some people just share the ideas because they want feedback from the executive level, and it's good enough for them. And obviously, you can do intangible rewards like little tools or even huge tools that are very much hyped at the moment, either a Fitbit or a MacBook Pro or something like that. And surprisingly or not, monetary reward, so money, became the very last of all. So if you can come up with any better ideas than offering money, then please do. And that is the third secret we found, that the biggest reward for people is to offer the opportunity to take part in the implementation of their own ideas. Let me show you with some pictures in another case study. So that, for example, Vodafone chose not to involve their own employees, but talented university students to came up with an app that students can use in their university years to enhance their education. And although this challenge was launched by the marketing department, they found really amazing ideas during the ideation session. And when they involved the students into the workshop, the students came up with such breakthrough ideas that Vodafone decided to get to market actually 3 of them. So they are right now working on these ideas. And at the end, the students were just so brilliant and so much amazed by the opportunity that they could work together with Vodafone executives, that many of them was hired by Vodafone by today. Many of them created their own companies, taking the idea to the next level. And I think even if somebody came but didn't yet get hired or start a company, it was such a big effort for them and such a big incentive that maybe later on they will have the courage to do something with their ideas. So with this last sentence, I would like to encourage everyone to involve people openly in the innovation process, because in the age of innovation, we think that breakthroughs should be the norm. And this is how you can achieve it best. So thank you for your attention, and I'm happy to answer questions at the end.
And now Teodor Panayotov will speak about course dot. We will leave all questions for the end before we move on to the following part of the session.
There we go. Good. It would be awesome if I can switch the slides. There we go. And good. Can you guys see the slides? There we go. Cool. So my name is Teodor, and I'm the founder of and CEO of CourseDot. So CourseDot is the global one-stop shop for technology training, or at least we want it to be the global one. So far, it's definitely the biggest, not the biggest one in terms of revenue. A few sentences about myself, so to give you a little bit of a history before we move into the depths of the company. I started off as a technical guy. I was the youngest Cisco networking expert in Europe 10 years ago. Now I'm getting old. Was hired into Siemens straight after high school. I was in charge of their networks for their large customers in Germany, customers like Deutsche Bahn and Allianz and others. And then I moved into another German company called Fastlane. So Fastlane is one of the 3 largest IT training companies. So if you're a telecom or a bank or any kind of an IT company, you need to train your personnel all the time on new technologies. And Fastlane is one of the top 3 training companies. I was in charge of business development for Central Eastern Europe and the Middle East. So basically my region was Poland down to Saudi Arabia, and I flew around quite a lot. And then I ended up in 2013, I ended up in a place called the Singularity University. And it was very interesting because my classmates, the guy on the left had built Groupon. Have you seen Groupon? So the guy on the left had built Groupon, sold it to Groupon in Latin America. The guy on the right had built a big data company and sold it to Yahoo in Israel. And he's building artificial intelligence for self-driving cars right now. And there I was, basically a glorified salesman. And I figured out, okay, I should start something. And I started CourseDot. And so far, so good. That's a part of my team over there. I'm very proud of them. All of them are much smarter than me in their areas. So it all started here. It all started in right next to this hangar. It still exists. This is basically what you see every morning you wake up in Singularity University. That's the largest hangar for airships. It was built in the beginning of the 20th century, where NASA was called NACA because there was no space in the name. And in Singularity University, we learned a lot of things over the 10 weeks we were there. But one of the things we learned, a couple of weeks or a couple of years before everyone else, was the new business models. So basically, we learned about Uber and how it works from the inside out, and about Airbnb, and about a lot of other companies. And when you think of it, Uber is the biggest taxi company in the world and owns no taxis. Airbnb is clearly the biggest hotel company in the world, owns no rooms. Facebook is the biggest media company in the world, owns no media. So, I scratched my head and I basically came to the conclusion that my job is to charge the customer whatever I can get away with the portfolio I had. And that was not a problem of the company, it was my problem. The company is doing pretty well. And I came to the conclusion that we should start to build a new generation of a training company, one which has an unlimited portfolio of technologies and which offers basically the democratization of the whole business. So there is not a price point attached to obtaining knowledge within a company. By that time, companies had spent around 150,000 euros in my personal technology education, which didn't make me smart, but made me very lucky, because I was able to get into some places. And I knew of a lot of very brilliant people in positions where they didn't have this luck. So the mission of Course.dot is really to become the starting point of the technical training journey for individuals within corporations, and to bring together and curate and compare and even recommend different types, different pieces of technology content. And yeah, so that's how the technology training market looks like. It's not known for a lot of people, but about $29 billion are spent every year on technology training by companies. And about 7.3 billion of those are being spent on technology courses and courseware. So we took a look at the market. We read a lot of reports, and all the organizations like IDC and KPMG and everyone else gives the same problems. And the problems are very simple. It's a very fragmented market. You have 5 or 10 big players, and then you have 6,000 small players. Like 6,000, think of it. Who do practically the same courses, because technology training is very easy to quantify. It's either 1 or 0. You either pass the exam and know the technology, or you don't. It's not like creativity, where it's, for me, very hard to quantify. So we were thinking, okay, what would happen if we partner with everyone? What would happen if we partner with everyone on the market? And then the other thing is corporations who are spending millions on technology training, they don't have any clear market view. They speak to probably 3 or 5 preferred technology partners, and those companies speak to each other very much more often than to the providers, and they set the price, and that's it. That's how the market works. So what would happen if, when we partner with everyone, we give them multiple offers for every training request? And what would happen if we bring transparent pricing to the whole game instead of, price discrimination? The same. I'll give you an example. Go online and type in Cisco training or Microsoft training and take a look at what the pricing is for the same classes, the same professional classes in Spain. Then take a look at the same classes in Hungary, then take a look at the same classes in Bulgaria. This is where I come from. It's the poorest country in Europe. And you'll find that the classes in Bulgaria are probably 3 times cheaper than the classes in Spain. They have the same content, they have the same trainers, and they have the same exercises in them. So that's what's happening. And Course.dot right now is the biggest marketplace for IT and technology training. We have about 400, maybe a little bit more than 400 providers and publishers. We partner with publishers of books, publishers of videos, large multi-billion-dollar companies and small, very niche training companies. So we can provide, for example, IBM mainframe training in Ethiopia, one of the things we did this year. So we have all the content from all the players without competing with them, because we're an additional sales and marketing channel to them. And we have all the training formats in one place. And the other thing we did is we built a global community of freelance trainers. So trainers are one of the major expenses within training companies because they cost a lot of money. They're very highly paid IT specialists. And what we did was we said, okay, how many trainers do the largest training companies have? And the answer is a few hundred. And we said, okay, what would happen if we had trainers the same way Uber adds taxi drivers? Well, it happened to work. It happened to work. So we sign a very small agreement with every trainer. It's very transparent, and we have a pool of about 2,300 trainers right now in 82 countries. So that's how it looks. We give our enterprise customers the best combination of price, delivery dates, location, language, and delivery method. So we look at technology training as a business objective rather than shove down the customer's throat whatever we have in the portfolio. And there are several ways to achieve an objective. One of the ways could be a very expensive classroom training. Another way could be a training which is led online by a trainer, across the ocean. Another one could be do a recorded video class. Another one could be read a book, self-paced learning. So it happens that all the reports agree with us. Basically, that's how it looks like. Those are the resources corporations use to train their people. On the top are, of course, internal training resources and free online resources. You cannot beat free. Free is everywhere. But the other ones, the other three, are major training providers, small independent trainers, and paid-for online training resources. So we're building a corporation where all of those come in as a service. So that's how things look like 3 years after Singularity University. We have a global pool. Every number on the map is the number of trainers we have in the country, and every country in orange is a country where we have customers. Those are some of the technologies the people we work with train. The whole list is like 5 pages. I just put in the logos which are most recognizable. And those are some of the customers. We work mainly with large enterprises. So we work with companies like HP and Cisco in some cases, and large distributors like Ingram Micro and Comprex and many others. And because of this, we get featured we get all the vanity metrics. So we got featured in Forbes, and then we are one of the hottest tech companies in the world by a conference. And the European Commission did a video about us, so you can Google it. It's very beautiful. It's in YouTube. Just type course.in in YouTube, 2 minutes. Then the last thing we found out was that the sales cycle for enterprises is very complex. We go to an enterprise customer and they look at us and they say, okay, you're a 12-people company from Bulgaria. Where is Bulgaria? Do you have electricity there? I'm Bulgarian, so I get to say that. So we started signing channel deals. Channel sales deals, and the channel sales deal means it's basically a handshake with a very big corporation. In this case, Comprex. Comprex is the largest distributor of Microsoft in Europe. They do $2.4 billion, euros per year of revenue, and what we did was we white labeled our product for them. It says powered by Course.dot on the bottom, and they work with all of their global accounts, and they provide this product so that we get the requests from their global customers and we serve them. So we enable the Comprex Academy, which is based in Germany, to scale globally with our pool of trainers and partners without investing a single euro, within 2 weeks, because that's the time it took us to basically put their logo up there and our designer to change a few things. One of the things is we just got the confirmation for Daimler. So Daimler is one of the first customers we got. We just signed the agreement in late August, so that's the first customer we got. Daimler. One of the tests we'll start is in Spain. They seem to have a huge factory in Spain. 3,800 people, that's the amount of people they want to train. So to summarize, that's the process. We're trying to keep it very simple for large and complex things. And the process before looked like this. You're an enterprise technical training person, you're in HR or a training coordinator. You had your preferred training suppliers, you had 3 or 5 of them, they have a limited portfolio, and then you send your requests to them, or you resort to Google. It's very sad, but still, people still use Google for this thing. And they're spending like literally 5,000 euro per person per week and using Google for that. And what we do is very simple. We just add one more provider. We use the same interface to them, so we don't change anything within the enterprise process because it's super hard to do. We are one more provider, or via the channel we enter as one of the providers, and we get the same request, which looks like this. It could look like this. That's a real request from last week. That's a simple request for what's this, an IBM course in somewhere in the US, I think. And that's in the UK. So that's one of the ways we can do it. Another way, we also often get Excel sheets. Believe it or not, that's the best way to send requests for hundreds of thousands of euros. And that's a request from one customer of ours. The column on the right is the number of people they want to train on a particular technology. Then we go back to our systems. Our systems look like this in the beginning. We have like 400 and something training companies. We work with all of them, see who's licensed to provide something, who can provide something, what are the pricing, and so on. Then we have some discussions about the offers. We get a purchase order, and that's it. Super simple. So the market is ripe for disruption. It's been like this since the 1960s, since IBM invented the mainframe. What we're trying to do is change the whole business model. And yeah, if there's any way I can be of help, or you can give me some feedback and ideas, I'm super open for feedback. So that's it. Thank you very much.
And now we will go on stage so that we can have Q&A. And the mic will be passed so that the translator can hear the questions and translate the answers. Is it there? Questions? No, 1 minute.
Why not offering other types of training instead of only IT training?
I will repeat the question if you hear. All right.
Cool. Yeah, so we offer mainly technology training. It's not only IT, we also have developer stuff like Node.js, Angular, and so on. And we also do things which are very close to it. So we have all the project management, IT service management parts, and we do the soft skills and so on. But we try to focus on things which are quantifiable, like easily understandable and quantifiable, because we want to be able right now to compare apples with apples. And one of the things I wasn't able to show you because our developers destroyed the working prototype during the night was we're building a machine learning thing which uses the IBM Watson. And the next phase is we want to be able to compare the content tables of the different courses and to suggest to people automatically when you're looking at, let's say, this class for Amazon Web Services, here's 5 other suggestions which our algorithm thinks do like 85% of the job. And they're not being discriminated on price or anything else. You can just put a filter on the site, say I'm only interested in classes which are online or in Europe, and then it just shows you the other stuff. So for now, we try to keep it simple, because we need to be able to tag and understand the information. With other things, it's really hard. So I don't see us being able to easily, for example, offer what Priszcilla's company is doing, like in the next few years. The technology is not there. And the other answer is we are in a market which is extremely competitive. So the corporate training market is a red ocean market. It's corpses everywhere, and companies going bankrupt and being acquired left and right. And the only way for us to be alive 3 years on is for us to be much more productive than anyone else on the market. So we have to be able to leverage technology so that one of our employees is more productive than, let's say, 5 or 10 of the other guys. And so far we haven't discovered any other way. But I think we offer a big percentage of what the training coordinators at technology company look for, including the soft skills. We do provide quite a lot of soft skills stuff. But ideation and this kind of training, it's all up to the person. If you don't have Priszcilla facilitating and her software with all the expertise inside, I have no idea what the provider from somewhere else will give.
Thank you.
¿Otras preguntas? Allá al fondo, por favor.
Una pregunta para Priszcilla.
Yes?
Okay. Muy al principio usted tenía ahí arriba.
Un minuto.
Sorry.
Would you prefer in English? Can you translate to Spanish? Okay.
Anyway.
Okay, excellent. At the beginning of your presentation, you had a chart up there, sort of putting up a history of innovative methods, no? Design thinking, so on and so forth. Kind of leads one to a conclusion that many of these things are a question of fashion and have a short lifespan of time of birth and death, each one of them effective in its own way. What is it that makes you feel that what you are proposing at this time is in any way radically different from being just yet one more way to crack this very difficult nut of creativity?
I'm actually not saying that we are radically different. I'm saying that everything is changing rapidly, even on an exponential curve. Nothing is permanent, just the change. And if you involve people through collective creativity, then you are much more ahead of the curve with your organization than most of the enterprises, because this is like the current trend, and this is the best knowledge out there for innovation methods. And if you are asking internally what I say to our team for the future, is that we will not hold on to one single method. We will always partner up with clients to see what are their current problems and solve it with different ways. So if there will be a new trend, we are happy to lead that one as well, even if it's not collective creativity.
Más preguntas. Right, I have a question for you too, because both of you have come to Spain a few times. What is, in the view of each of you, the most burning need of the Spanish workforce or corporate world or innovation ecosystem in order for us to make one big step forward?
I'm happy to answer first. I think the biggest thing with Spain is that I adore the people here. Everyone has such a positive attitude, so lovely as a person. The only thing is I don't know how it's a possible combination, but I feel like you have such a low self-esteem, you don't trust yourself enough compared to Americans, and that is the only thing that is different. So if you have a great idea, just talk about it and make partnerships. You don't have to nail everything for first. It's okay to tell something that is like not 100% right. If you get the feedback, and you take on it and take it to the next level, and then to the next level. Maybe in your 10th round, you would do something amazing and even breakthrough. So I think dare to discover new things and talk about your innovative ideas and go out of your comfort zone and partner up with people in different countries. That's for Spanish people to take to the next level.
Thank you
And I'm
so
happy
much.
to take part of that.
Teodor?
Well, I wouldn't speak about Spain in particular, but I have a view of most of Europe, really. And my view is the following. First of all, we are lacking in terms of our education systems, like Europe-wide, majorly. in many places. We lack also in terms of understanding of what it is to start something new, and understanding that it's quite possible that new companies will fail, and then embracing this and trying to learn more from it and move to the next steps. Spain was created, all this wealth around us was clearly created by people who are very entrepreneurial. I mean, imagine jumping on a ship, going to the other end of the world with a very high possibility of being killed in the process of getting there or while you're there, and then coming back with all the riches. So clearly you had the mindset, and you were, Seville was the richest city in the world for quite a while. I really think that the whole of Europe has to change its education system in terms of technology education and entrepreneurial education, and understanding of the possibility of failure in new companies, and embracing this is something which we need to change. It is happening in some countries, and some countries have a better educational system than the others. And we always get the example from Finland, but the Finnish example works for the Finns. And I don't see the flexibility of us being able to add whatever works for our own educational systems and entrepreneurial ecosystems on the country level. Like it just doesn't exist. And what you're doing here is, I congratulate you on embracing this spirit in this school, but it's very rare. Like all over Europe, it's very rare.
Well, that's something that strikes me a little bit, because the US is kind of crazy about security. Going from this may contain nuts to all the rest, we don't need to mention it. And at the same time, they encourage failure. Whereas in Europe, we are not that crazy yet about security, but we do not encourage trial and failure, which is a little bit surprising. It's kind of a contradiction in terms, isn't it?
Yeah, and we don't learn from failure. Like, look at it. My experience is I talk to startups and friends, and I've been speaking to all kinds of startups all over Europe for the past 5-6 years, and my experience is most of the startups fail because of the same reasons. Because they didn't have the proper education, they didn't learn from each other, and the systems are not in place for communication between them. Like, one of our investors right now did exit his software company. He did the biggest exit in Eastern Europe. He sold his software company for $286 million. And he invested in us as an angel. And he said, look, I don't want to speak to you alone. I will only speak in groups of 15 people or more. So I'll gather all of my investments and speak to all of you, because I have to say the same things to all of you companies over and over again, because we're at this stage and we don't have the basis of the entrepreneurial ecosystem here. We have to build it and then learn. Some of us have to lay down, become the base, someone steps on our shoulders, then someone else. That's the way. I don't think there are shortcuts.
All right. Cristina?
Hi. Since you mentioned, right now I'm working in a startup. There was actually this question for you, Priszcilla, but you can answer it too if you want. I wrote down those 3 secrets and trying to implement them to my situation right now, since I'm starting. And I was thinking, this works perfectly for a big company, but right now I'm in the position in a startup I have a low budget, and there's only 2 of us. So how can I improve those methods? How can I put those methods into a small group, just the 2 of us, and try to be more creative? Because at the moment we're just stuck. We don't know what's the next step, And these things works if I have a huge crew, but at the moment I don't. So how can I
Perfect question, and I think we are also in the place where we are after 6 years of operation and having offices in Budapest and in Silicon Valley as well. That very first, I wanted to have feedback from as many people from our target group as possibly I could have. But not only from our target group. I also went to as many competitions, pitches, talking to investors, so that the more people could give feedback to me, the earlier, the better. I didn't care if they say, this is the most stupid idea ever. I would ask why, and how could it be better, and then listen, and then write down everything. And suddenly, when I found similarities, it did make sense. And when we were just the two of us, actually what I did is I regularly created events where we invited people we trust, acquaintances, friends, colleagues, former colleagues, later colleagues, other people recommended. And from like a group of 8 to a group of 30, I either gave a presentation and shared surveys as open-ended questions, or just did a regular, we called it a workshop. Whoever was interested in the same idea, how we take it forward, we just gather and think all together in the important questions we had. So this was the very, very beginning of my company, the first half a year. And then when we went up to, let's say, 5 to 8 people, it already started to make sense to have regular ideation sessions with the team inside. Because I always thought that as a leader, I'm not the only person who has the wisdom and the knowledge about everything. I would like to involve everyone, at least give a chance to be smarter than me and to have a way of saying, this we could do better. And by posing the right questions that they can answer all together, and then voting on which one is the best answer, we should all agree, and we this way can eliminate the not necessary frustration about, we are just going into this direction because you said so, but how do you know it? Because immediately it was transparent what we agree on, and if I saw that we don't agree on something, we either have to do more research on the topic, I have to explain like very, very much in details why I think it's not the right direction, and it just makes total sense, and to discover things earlier and to learn faster as well. So that's what I would recommend. Basically, if you are a small company, I'm very happy to show you be innovative without like any monetary rewards, but it doesn't matter. If you just involve people and think together, it will totally make sense at the end.
I'm very conscious of the time. It's 8:15, and we had a second part, and then we asked the people at the bar to wait for us until 9 in case any of us wanted to have a drink or a bite and mingle and talk and explore further questions. So I'd suggest that we move on, and I'd like to build on Priszcilla's last reply. Get back a saying I've heard a few times, that when you said as a leader you don't want to be the smartest person, that sentence that says if you are the smartest person in the room, you are in the wrong room, because you cannot learn from others. So it's very nice to be enriched and to get suggestions from others. So now Priszcilla is going to explain how we are going to proceed towards the second part of the session, which is the participative and the interactive time with the Be Innovative platform. We will move to other rooms in order to gather in groups of 6 with our laptops in order to be able to sit and chat and interact and so on. And then at the end we will transition towards the ground floor for the bar, whoever wants to stay. So if you can please
Yes.
Explain what we're going to do. Let's go down now.
Could we have my slide? Super. So let me ask you to take a photo of this very last slide with the URL, because as we go down, I will enable access for everyone who signed up for the event. Please type in su.beinnovative.com, and you will be able to log in with the email address that you registered for this event, and the password is SingularityU with lowercase letters. And if you haven't signed up by any chance, please come to me and I make sure that you get registered, because it's going to be a closed platform that only us will see. And otherwise, you can also register with any Gmail, Hotmail, or Yahoo, or SingularityU addresses.
And we can use iPhones as well.
Yes,
smartphones.
you can use either desktop, laptop, or smartphones or tablets for this challenge. And we will have an open-ended question that is the topic of the whole event. So if you imagine that you are an innovation leader in your company, let it be an executive, a marketing or business development position, and you imagine you could do anything with the innovation methods inside the company, what would you introduce? What tools would you use? What would you do as an innovation manager? If you could do anything, you could have all the money in the world, and you could have all the time, and you can influence everyone in your company. So that's the question. And we will be able to see who are the top 3 people who share the most impactful and feasible ideas at the end of the session. What you will experience is, I show you the screen of the ideation. So as you will click on the topic, click on ideation, you will be placed into small groups of 4 thinking together. We will go through 4 phases of sharing ideas. You will see who are the other 3 people you are together with. You will not see everyone in the room, only at the evaluation phase. In the very first phase, you will type in one idea, and you see that other people are thinking. There are cards, but they are upside down. So you will only see what are the ideas of the others in the next phase after something like 2, 3, or 4 minutes, depending on how active your group is. In the second phase is the typical kind of brainstorming part, where you can read the ideas and you can add more ideas based on these ones. So if you click on any gray area, any empty place on the wall, you can type into a new post-it. Then in the third phase, you can look for pictures, type in a keyword. We use a built-in Google API, so that if you type in a keyword, for example, sea, you will see pictures about a sea. And if you click on it, it will place it on the wall, so that you can come up with better ideas, seeing what pictures other people are considering to be inspiring. And the very last phase, the fourth one, after something like 12-15 minutes, is the Edward de Bono's creativity enhancing technique called the random words. 3 random words will pop to the screen, such as these ones. And your task is to choose one. For example, this one is dog at the top. And what is your associational step to connect it with this specific challenge? So for example, about dog, I'm thinking about, well, if I was the leader, based on the pets, I would say anyone can bring into the company whatever loved animal they have. What if not animal, but involve like a family gathering for an innovation day? And what if the person we are working with has a spouse who has a brilliant idea? So I type in, my idea is Family Innovation Day. And I got to this conclusion based on the dog. So you don't have to use the word itself, but it should make you associate to surprising solutions that you weren't thinking about. I'm happy to go around in the meanwhile, and if you have any technical questions or methodological ones, I will help you. This is the time when we will go through the evaluation. Everyone can go in their own pace. So after 50 minutes, you will see a screen like that. You will get one idea at the left, and you have to push one of the 9 squares in order to place this idea to the impact feasibility graph. You have to evaluate around 25 ideas, and at the end, the software does an average out at the back end. So when you click on Go to the results, you will see all the ideas that were shared within this challenge by everyone anonymously in the order of impact and feasibility, and you can see your ranking, how other people liked your ideas. One tip, the more ideas you share, the more chances you will get to have a point, and it all adds up. So the person who shares the most number of impactful, feasible ideas will be at the top of the leaderboard.
I have a question, Priszcilla. Provided that I cannot ensure that everyone is proficient in Hungarian, can we do it in Spanish?
The challenge will be in Spanish.
The challenge?
No, actually it's in English. But we have a Spanish language for the platform. So you can choose Spanish within the platform, but share ideas in English. Is that fine? Or should we use it?
Could it be in Spanish, just in case someone feels more comfortable? Is it a problem if it is in Spanish?
No,
No?
it's not.
Great. So I suppose we can do it in Spanish for the benefit of the
That's
majority. Right? Thank you.
Yes.
And she speaks Spanish. She has not said it, but she does speak Spanish.
My self-esteem in Spanish is low as well, in front of so many people. Pero sí
Right,
hablo
so,
un poco.
Shall we move on then?
Yes, we
Great.
can go.
Entonces,
go to-
vamos ahora, tenemos que pasar por ahí enfrente, un pasillo
and please
estrecho.
allow like 5 minutes because I need to enable the platform when I see like most of you are ready.
Don't worry,
So,
80 people do not move 100 meters in less than 5 minutes. We
Okay.
teachers know that. Entonces, como necesita 5 minutos, vámonos tranquilamente. Tenemos que pasar por el pasillo que está ahí enfrente y bajar por la otra escalera una planta. Y nos distribuimos en los 3 laboratorios que tienen mesas hexagonales para poder trabajar en grupo, si les parece.